I cheated on my husband, and now I'm watching everything fall apart. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write something like this on Reddit, but I need to get it off my chest. I, 32F, have been married to my husband, 34M, for almost 10 years. We have 2 kids, 8 and 5. From the outside, we looked perfect. The kind of family people post about on Facebook. But inside, everything was cracking long before I crossed the line. My husband is a good man. Hardworking, quiet, loyal. But for years, it felt like we stopped seeing each other. He'd come home exhausted, dinner, TV, bed. No real talks. No touches that meant something. Just routine. I felt invisible. Then I met Daniel, a friend of my co-workers. It started small, jokes, long chats after work, attention I hadn't felt in years. He listened. He noticed when I changed my hair, when I was tired, when I smiled differently. One night, after a few drinks, we crossed the line. I told myself it was just once, that it meant nothing. But it wasn't once. It became months. Lies layered over lies. I hated myself, but I also couldn't stop. For the first time in years, I felt alive. The guilt was destroying me, though. Every time my husband played with our kids, I felt sick. Every time he smiled and said, "I love you," I wanted to disappear. Then last month, my daughter accidentally saw a message pop up on my phone. It was from Daniel. Nothing explicit, but enough. She asked who Dan Redheart was. My heart stopped. I brushed it off, but she told my mom later that week. My mom confronted me. Then my dad. And now somehow my husband knows. He didn't scream. He didn't throw anything. He just looked at me and said, "I trusted you more than anyone on this planet." Then he packed a bag and went to his brother's. The kids are confused. My parents are disappointed. My friends, half of them don't even talk to me anymore. And Daniel, he ghosted me the moment things got messy. Now I'm sitting in the house that used to feel warm, surrounded by silence and guilt. I ruined everything. I don't want sympathy. I don't even know if I deserve forgiveness. I just needed to tell someone. Because the truth is, when you betray someone who truly loved you, you don't just lose them. You lose yourself. Update. My husband left after finding out I cheated. Now I'm facing who I really am. It's been 3 weeks since he left. The house feels wrong. Too quiet. The sound of the kids playing in their rooms is the only thing that reminds me life is still moving. He hasn't come back. We only talk through text about the kids, school schedules, bills. Every message is cold, short, polite. Like I'm some stranger. And honestly, I can't blame him. I've been sleeping on one side of the bed, even though he's not here. His side still smells like him. I can't bring myself to wash the sheets. Maybe that's pathetic, but I can't pretend I'm fine. I'm not. My parents barely look at me. My dad told me he didn't raise a liar. My mom cried for days. She told me I didn't just hurt my husband. I humiliated the whole family. And she's right. The hardest part is my daughter. She asked me 2 nights ago, "Mommy, why is Daddy sad when he sees you?" I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and cried. I tried calling him once, just to hear his voice. He didn't answer. Later, he texted, "Don't call me unless it's about the kids." That hit harder than yelling ever could. I deleted Daniel's number. Not that it mattered. He never reached out again after everything blew up. I was just a secret to him. And I let him make me believe I was special. Every day now feels like punishment. But maybe that's what I deserve. I go to work, take care of the kids, and come home to silence. No laughter, no dinners together, no warmth. Just time. Time to realize how much I destroyed. I'm in therapy now. My therapist said something that stuck. You didn't cheat because you stopped loving him. You cheated because you stopped loving yourself and looked for proof you still mattered. That line broke me. Because it's true. I was lonely, insecure, craving validation. And instead of facing it, I ran toward the first person who made me feel seen. But the cost was everything. I don't know if he'll ever forgive me. I don't even know if I'd forgive me if I were him. But I'm trying to become someone my kids won't be ashamed of. Someone honest. Someone better. And maybe one day, when the pain isn't this fresh, I'll be able to look him in the eyes and say, "I'm sorry." Not because I want him back, but because I finally mean it. It's been 6 months, and I saw him again today. It's been 6 months since my husband left. Half a year since that day I watched him close the door behind him, calm, cold, and finished. The silence that followed has become my new normal. The kids spend half the week with him now. Every time they go, I try to act strong. I smile, I pack their bags, I tell them to be good for Dad. Then I close the door, sit on the floor, and cry. I still work at the same office. People stopped whispering about me, but I can feel the distance. Like I'm radioactive. No one wants to get too close. The therapy helps a little. I stopped trying to fix the past. Now I'm just trying to understand how I became that person. The woman who destroyed her own home. Today, I saw him for the first time since the separation. He came to pick up the kids. I wasn't ready. I never am. He looked different. Lighter somehow. Still quiet, but not broken. He's been hitting the gym, I could tell. New clothes, new haircut. He looked good. It hurt to realize that he's healing without me. When he saw me, he just nodded. "They ready?" he asked. I said yes. The kids ran to him, hugging him like they hadn't seen him in years. He smiled, really smiled, and for a second, I saw the man I fell in love with. Then his eyes met mine, and the warmth disappeared. He didn't hate me. He just didn't care anymore. And that's worse. After they left, I found myself standing by the window, watching the car disappear. I whispered, "I'm sorry," even though he couldn't hear it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Because for the first time, I realized I'm no longer waiting for forgiveness. I'm just trying to live with the version of myself that ruined the best thing that ever happened to her. It's been a year now. The divorce papers came through last month. I signed them the same day. He did too. No drama. No arguments. Just quiet, final signatures. I didn't even cry this time. I think I ran out of tears months ago. We met one last time, in a small cafe near the courthouse. The kids were with my mom. I wanted to say something meaningful, something that might show how deeply sorry I am. He ordered coffee. I didn't touch mine. We sat there, the air between us thick with everything left unsaid. Finally, I said, "You didn't deserve what I did to you." He nodded slowly. "You're right. I didn't." That silence after, it was the loudest thing I've ever heard. He wasn't cruel. He didn't shout. He didn't even ask why. He just said, "I loved you with everything I had. I can't do that again." Then he stood up, left a few bills on the table, and walked away. I stayed there until the coffee turned cold, watching the empty chair across from me, realizing that was the last time I'd ever see him like that, as my husband. Now, I live in a small apartment with the kids. I take them to school, make dinner, read bedtime stories. I'm trying to give them stability, love, something good to hold on to. Sometimes my daughter still asks, "Will Daddy ever come back home?" I tell her no, but I also tell her, he still loves you. That never changes. And when I turn off the light, I sit there alone, thinking about how one choice can destroy an entire lifetime of trust. People on Reddit always say, "Once a cheater, always a cheater." Maybe they're right. Or maybe some of us just made one horrible mistake we can never undo. Either way, I know now, love isn't something you find again once you've broken it. You just learn to live with the pieces. I finally understand what I destroyed. It's strange how silence changes meaning. A year ago, silence between us was war. It was full of things I wanted to say but couldn't. Now it's my only companion, and it doesn't hurt the same way anymore. It's just empty. Sometimes I replay everything from the beginning. Not to torture myself, but to understand why. Why I let distance grow. Why I ignored the little signs. When he stopped asking how my day was. When I started seeking validation elsewhere. I used to think love dies suddenly. But now I know. It decays slowly, in small moments of neglect, until one day you realize the warmth is gone. And when someone else shows you attention, it feels like oxygen after months of holding your breath. But that's not love. That's weakness disguised as need. I've read so many stories on Reddit like mine. People confessing, begging for understanding. I used to judge them. I thought I was different, that I'd never cross that line. And then I did. Now, I understand that betrayal doesn't start with the act itself. It starts when you stop choosing your partner, one small decision at a time. My therapist said something last week that stuck with me. You can't rebuild what you burned if you're still standing in the ashes. She's right. I can't rebuild the past. I can only make peace with the fact that I ruined something that was pure. Lessons I'll carry for the rest of my life. Love isn't a feeling, it's a choice. Feelings fade, shift, get clouded by routine. But love is the daily decision to stay, to try, to see the person even when you're tired of them. I stopped choosing him, and that's where I failed. Attention isn't affection. I mistook being noticed for being loved. That was my biggest delusion. Real love doesn't thrill you every day. Sometimes it's quiet, ordinary, even boring. But it's real. Trust is one life. You don't get a second one. You can rebuild walls, but not the foundation. Once you've broken someone's trust, they'll always look at you through the lens of that betrayal. And they're right to. Guilt doesn't fade, it transforms. It's no longer the sharp pain it was at first. Now it's a dull ache I carry, like an old scar. It reminds me who I don't want to be again. Forgiveness isn't owed. I used to think if I cried enough, if I showed remorse, he'd forgive me. But forgiveness isn't a currency you buy with tears. It's a gift, and sometimes you're not meant to receive it. If you lose yourself, you lose everyone around you. I forgot who I was in that marriage. I tried to be everything for everyone. And in the process, I lost the part of me that was loyal, grounded, good. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see a villain anymore. I see a woman who made a terrible mistake, lost the man she loved, and finally stopped lying to herself. Maybe that's the only redemption I'll ever get, to live the rest of my life honestly. So, if anyone reading this on Reddit thinks about doing what I did, don't. You'll think it's a moment of freedom, but it's a lifetime of silence. And silence, once it's all you have left, isn't peace. It's punishment.